You spend years getting good at writing code. You know architecture. You write clean code. You can debug in your sleep, but something is wrong. You get passed on for promotions. Colleagues with less technical skills seem to get ahead. And you can't shake this nagging feeling that your skill isn't quite enough to get seen. Well, you're not wrong. Technical skill alone is not enough anymore. And in this video, I want to talk about why. And more importantly, what to do about it. Hi, I'm Nemi, and I've been a software engineer for a decade. And during this time, I've had the benefit of seeing the kinds of problems all sorts of engineers face. I've lost count of how many solid developers I've seen getting lost to the system, simply because they did not understand what it took to stay relevant. And I hope this video helps you not be one of them. This job has been changing, and I don't mean AI. This started long before ChatGPT was a thing. This is bigger than that. A lot of mid to senior level developers are hitting this invisible ceiling and they don't understand why. What you need to understand is that even though you were hired for your technical skills, you're being kept around for something else. Or I should say, you're being kept around in the hope of something else. First, let's talk about what it means to be a good developer. Most people would see it as someone who writes good code, or someone who knows their frameworks, or that they ship on time. And all of that is still important, of course, but it's just basic stuff. It's what gets you in the door. See, there's two kinds of developers. One that just delivers what they're told, and the other that really tries to shape what gets delivered and the impact it creates. This second group is way more valuable and harder to replace. Think about it from the company's perspective. They don't want to just pay people for completing tickets. They want people who help them move in the right direction. Technical skill is a tool, but good judgment and decision making is the real skill you are hired for. You've probably heard someone mention product thinking, but nobody really talks about what that means. In my opinion, it means that you think about your work before you write a single line of code. It means you have a habit of asking questions like, who is this change for? Or why do we need this feature in the first place? This is the single biggest difference between a good developer and a great one. For example, some time ago, I was working on this app where the splash screen needed a change every few months because of client requirements. Developer A was quite happy making these changes manually because it was work that needed to be done. But developer B asked why it was important. Now in this case, the client actually made a good argument and the team was happy to continue with things the way they were. Most developers would stop here, but developer B went further than the requirements and built a system that allowed the screen to be changed dynamically for all platforms, even though they weren't asked to do it. Now, there's nothing special about this example, nothing mind-blowing or innovative. But think about what this looks like from the perspective of the company. You have someone who did the work and did it well. But you have someone else who not only understood the work they were doing, but tried to go beyond it and add value not only for the client, but also for the company by eliminating redundancy. Which developer do you think is going to stand out come promotion time? And the bonus in this situation is that by making it easier for the client, this developer has also made it more likely that the client will stay with the company. All of this sounds really obvious if you think about it, but most of us aren't trained this way. Schools and colleges teach us how to implement knowledge, not apply it. Modern education rewards when you comply with the norms, not when you innovate or try something new. The result of all of this is that when you finally start in the industry, you tend to focus on taking information and just working with it. Questioning the requirements is counterintuitive and takes real effort to do. The real flip in mindset is understanding that impact is the real goal, not just implementation. Your solution may be really impressive from a technical standpoint, but if it solves the wrong problem, what's the point? So, what does this actually look like in practice? First, you need to become curious about your work. Don't simply accept tickets as is. Ask why these tickets were even needed. Was it a result of user feedback? Is it data driven? And what this data was and where did it come from? What's the business goal behind the task? Next, look at how people use what you build. Shipping features is just step one. Understanding how that feature is used and how users or clients react to it is more important. Put some analytics in place and speak to customer support to see what problems actual users are running into. Finally, learn to worry about outcomes and not output. Shipping 12 features is not an outcome worth caring about, but improving payment success rate by 10% is a great goal to chase, even if it comes from a single ticket rather than 10. Now let's talk about something more uncomfortable: business thinking. There's a constant tension between what's technically correct and what's good for the business. And a lot of developers struggle with this, especially the ones with strong principles. You want to clear tech debt, but the business wants you to build a new feature. You want to do things properly, but they want it done fast. Sound familiar? The truth is that neither perspective is always right. You need to balance business priority with technical correctness based on what the goal is. Developers that can find balance without it becoming an argument are the ones that are trusted to make key decisions. For example, if you work for an early stage startup, you need to understand that time to market is probably the most important goal, and clean code is not really a priority. If you're working for a service based company, speed helps keep clients, and while performance is important, it's not the top priority. Product companies might be fine accepting bugs and lesser use features, but critical user facing features need the best quality. When you understand business context and needs, you tend to make better technical decisions. You stop over engineering and gold plating features that are not very important. You learn when to spend 5 days building a feature correctly and when to just apply a band aid to fix issues. This key skill to learn here is to evaluate trade offs between technical priority and business priority, and making decisions based on which of them are more important. A lot of developers love to flex their technical skills, but the hard truth is that without business needs or a product to work on, these technical skills are worthless. Not useless, but worthless. What makes our skill set valuable is the ability to actually solve problems that can generate revenue for businesses. Yes, software is an art form, but art needs to make money too. Remember, none of this means that technical skills are not important. They still matter a lot, but they're the foundation, not the ceiling. In the next decade or so, the developers who thrive are not the ones with the best technical skill, but they'll be the ones who understand who they're building for and what their business needs are. And honestly, none of this is rocket science, and none of this requires some natural talent. It's just a different way to think, and it can be learned or trained. So, if you're a mid to senior level developer who's feeling stuck, this is probably what you're missing. Start asking why a feature exists. Start thinking about what it costs the business if you get it wrong. That's the whole game. If you have any questions or feedback, please leave a comment, and I'll see you next time.